Welcome to the Studio Success Formula Podcast, the business school for dance studio owners. And now for your host, Clint Salter.
Hello, it's Clint, and welcome to 2016, episode number 53 of the Studio Success Formula Podcast. I'm super excited to have you here joining me for what is going to be an awesome year, 2016. Now, look, we know that 2015 was pretty good. I saw more studios enrolling more students, growing their businesses, spending less time working in and working on their business. Plus, this is a big one, having some more time for themselves, which is really important. Spending time with their family, their friends, their loved ones, and that's what I like to see. But guys, I've got some bad news for you. The holiday period is now over. That's right. And what so many studio owners do in January is they might take a bit of extra time off. They might say to themselves, you know, I deserve a break. I deserve to take time off. And you do. And you know, if you followed me for a while now, you know that I think taking a break is super important. You need to recharge. I do it in my business. We all need to do it, but we shouldn't be doing it in our peak times. And January is probably one of the most perfect months for you to be enrolling new students into your dance studio. And I wanted to start with this podcast episode. It's just me, it's a solo show, no guests today, but it's an important one because now is time to get on your hustle. Because I can tell you now that if you're getting student inquiries and you're not following them through, or you're not marketing heavily during this time of year, during January, well, the studio up or down the road is going to be. And those new students, potentially your ideal students and parents that could be coming to you, well, they won't be coming to you because they won't know about you. You won't be top of mind. Someone else's studio will be. And I don't want that to happen to you because if you're listening to this podcast, I know that you're someone that values education, that is hungry to really grow their business, that wants to impact the lives of more students and parents, and then bring in more teachers. So I know that you want to grow your business, and that's exactly what we're going to do in today's episode. Now, it's a different one today. Today is a mini training, and the great thing about today is that I've put together a download for you that you can download, and you can get something super cool that I put together over the holidays. Now, the big mistake I see people making in January is they're putting money into Facebook ads, and maybe they're doing flyers, and maybe they've got some relationships going with their local businesses, so strategic partnerships, you know, building awareness of their studio. But the problem isn't the marketing. Sometimes it is, but the big problem is your enrollment process. So what you actually do when someone calls or sends an email to your studio inquiring about classes, what's your next step? And this is where I find that a lot of studios become stuck because they don't have an actual system or a process in place. Every time someone calls, it's different. Sometimes you're at the supermarket and you write their details on a post-it note, and then you forget to send them an email. Then you'll follow up 3 days later, but they've already gone somewhere else, or and then you don't hear back from them, or they call up and you say, "Cool, come next week on Tuesday at 3 p.m. for our preschool ballet class." But they never come back and you forgot to get their details. So what happens here is we get mixed results all the time because we don't have a process. So what I've decided to do as a little gift for you for the new year, because I want you to succeed in January, I want you enrolling as many students as possible in this prime month for you to be bringing new students into your studio. I've put together my 11-step checklist to enroll students in January. That's it. There's 11 steps, start to finish. And what I've done is I've got this checklist for you to download. It's a free download. Now, I know that some of you are on the go or driving. So what I want you to do right now, don't text if you're driving, but if you're in the USA, all you need to do is text the number 44222 and put the word in that text message, students, and you're going to receive that checklist. So again, just send a text message with the word students to 44222 and you're going to get that checklist straight away. So you've got it there. You can hand it to your office staff. They can tick it off as they go through the steps as well. I think you're going to find this really valuable, and I haven't offered this before outside of our Studio Success Formula program. So a little bit of a gift to start off the new year. Now, if you're not in the USA, no problem. Just jump onto our website, studiosuccessformula.com, click on our podcast tab up the top, and you'll see this podcast, and we'll put a link in there for you to download it as well. So by the time this goes live, that'll be there. So when you get home, or if you're home already and you're listening on the computer, go to our website and make sure you download this checklist, because I know that it's going to help you, and it's helped so many other studio owners to bring in more students consistently. Now, the reason that you need, like, you're probably asking yourself, Clint, why do I need a checklist? We've got a process. It kind of works. You call people back. We get them in a trial class, or they come for a class, and then we say to them, did you like it? Yeah, great. Come to class, or no. Okay, then no problem. That's not good following that system. And if that's you, that's okay for now, because we're definitely going to change it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through these 11 steps. So don't worry about having a pen and paper handy. I want you to listen to it. You can make sure you download the checklist, so you've got a copy of it. And in the checklist, in the download that you receive, I do a big explanation of each one and why you need to do it. So we're just going to go through today the 11 steps. Now, the first step is to take the inquiry and book in the class or the trial class. So as soon as you receive an email or phone inquiry, you want to thank the parent and the student and give them details how they can book into their trial class or similar if they come in and pay for a class. And this is also the perfect opportunity for you to build some credibility. Basically explain why your dance studio is the place for them. But I want you to be really careful, because this conversation needs to be about what the potential student wants, not about how amazing your studio is. So here, the key really is listening. I've seen so many studio owners when they're on the phone and they're talking to a parent and they're just talking about themselves, how amazing their studio is, how long they've been in business. The parent doesn't care. What the parent cares about is how is their student, that's your student, how is their child going to feel when they come to your studio? What does that experience feel like? What are they going to get from coming into your business and being a part of your dance family? So that's the first thing. The second step is the email trial class confirmation. So as soon as your office staff or you book the new student into the class, be sure you send a confirmation email to the parent or student with everything that they need to know, okay, which you probably do now, but what you might not do is you also want to put in there some of your commonly asked questions so that they know exactly what to expect when they arrive. So there's no surprises. So you don't want to send an email that says, hey there, see you in class, these are the times, see you then. You actually want to prepare them for what's going to happen. Don't worry, it's really busy at the moment because we're preparing for XYZ, or it's the beginning of the year, so it might be a little bit chaotic, but I can assure you it's generally not like that. We want to kind of put their mind at ease for when they walk in the door and they go, whoa, this is like too crazy in here. We want them to go, oh, but that's okay. They told us that it was going to be a little bit busy. So we just want to make sure the parent is comfortable and the student from the time that they come in. Plus, in that email, I want you to mention that they come in 15 minutes early so that you get an opportunity to do a class consult with them. And I love this strategy, and we use it with all our program members and our mastermind members. And it's where you do a 15-minute essentially appointment to really kind of get more of the needs of the child out from the parent and the child, so that you can make sure they are in the right class. And also you can then help them to say, hey, well, if you're into that, maybe you'd like to try this as well. That class is on straight after. We can pop you in that. Or maybe you might want to come back tomorrow and try another class, because remember, what's important here as well is frequency. We want to build the frequency up of the amount of classes people are doing every week. But I'm going to talk more about that in step number 4. Also add their contact details to your potential student database. So you would have heard me before talk about you need 2 databases in your studio. You need an existing family students database, and then you need a potential database. So make sure you put them in the potential database. Step number 3 is our 24-hour see you soon SMS. So 24 hours before their trial class, you should send an SMS with the class details, address, phone number, and have them text back why to confirm, to say yes, they're still coming, or call you to reschedule. Now, this is super important in the strategy. And guys, these 11 steps I've been testing for many, many years since I had my dance studio that I started at 16. We put this process in place, a similar one anyway. I've updated it since then, 2 years into running the studio, and we had a very high conversion rate of enrollments, and our program members have a very high conversion rate because they're implementing this system as well. So it's not made up, it's proven. So I want you to make sure that in the text you say text back why to confirm or call to reschedule. Now, the reason we say call to reschedule is we don't want them to just write back an N and say no, and then you have to call them and go, what's happening, and texting back and forth or emailing back and forth. We want them to call you and say, look, I'm so sorry I can't make, and say, hey, that's not a problem. Let's book you in for the next available class for little Susie. It's actually on Friday at 3 p.m. Does that work for you? And they'll say yes or no. It's a hugely important piece of the enrollment process. Now, if they're not coming, you will want to know, and more importantly, you will want to reschedule them in the next available class. Don't let people go. The fortunes is in the follow-up. And so you continually need to follow up during this entire process, which you'll understand as we move through it even more. So step number 4, now this is what I mentioned briefly before, it's the pre-class consult. Now this is really my secret sauce step. You or your office person is going to be expecting the family for their class, so make sure you already know their name and greet them warmly when they come into the studio. So whether that's you, like I said, or your office person, you want to register there that has their details and who they are, and say, oh, you must be Susie and you must be Mrs. Jones. Hey, so great to see you. Thanks for coming in today. Now, I've got your details. We've got you trialing our junior ballet class and our junior jazz class today. How does that sound? It's great. We're excited. And then what I like to do is have the pre-class consult. It's about a 15-minute conversation with the family where you can assess their needs and provide them more information about why your studio is a great fit for them. Now, a lot of health clubs do this. And a few years ago when I was consulting to some really big health clubs, this is a strategy that I use with a lot of them. And you'll know if you go to a gym or a health club, they generally spend about half an hour with you going through what you want to achieve about coming for the gym and really making sure you're going to get the most out of your experience. So we're now replicating that in the dance studio space, and I find that this is a very, very useful strategy in not only getting them to enroll after their classes, but making sure they really understand what you're about, and for you to actually listen to them to know what they really want from dance. Because if you just put them into a trial class and you come out and they say, yeah, that was good, and then they go away and they don't enroll, and you're like, why didn't they enroll? It's something that could have been kind of bought out of them if you did a pre-class consult. So let's jump into step number 5, and this is an introduction to the teacher and their class buddy. And so I want you to walk the student into class and introduce them to the teacher, and then have the teacher introduce them to a buddy for the class. Now, your teacher should have about 3 to 5 buddies they can call upon regularly to look after students trialing your studio. This automatically calms down the student, eliminates having them them feeling like an outsider. Look, we've all been there, right? When we've gone to a group, a boot camp class, or we've gone to an open dance class, and there's all these little cliques of people, and we're like, oh my God. This happens to students and children as well. That's where we learn it from, the fear. So you want to automatically calm them down. And I just want to give you a tip. When selecting your buddies, you want to ensure that it's the happy, passionate, and fun student. Don't select a buddy that's super competitive and needs to be front and center. You don't want one of those students. They're great to have in your studio, but they're not essentially buddy material. Let's jump on to step number 6, which is my stick strategy, and it's by giving some homework. So in the last 5 minutes of class, I want you to have the teacher leave the students with something to work on for next week. So this is when you've got people trialing your class in your studio. I want you to give them, the teacher to give them a bit of homework. It may be to practice a combination they learned in groups that they'll present at the beginning of class the following week, or maybe it's learning a chorus for next week's musical theatre class. Give them something that they then need to go home and work on, come back the next week and have achieved something. I mean, generally in your class, you should be doing this anyway, because progression is important for all children. If there's no progression, well, then people will kind of start going, well, where are we going? Why aren't we progressing? That's why people do programs and have syllabus. So same kind of concept, but this is what I call the stick strategy. I'm giving them homework. Now, step 7, this is the after class follow-up, and this is where I see too many studio owners drop the ball and let the student and parent leave without asking for the enrollment. I know it's a tricky conversation, and I want you to have a conversation about how things went in class and ask them to enroll. Ideally, they've tried a few classes that day or that week, and you simply ask, what shall we get you enrolled in? That's it. So what shall we get you enrolled in? Both jazz and tap classes? I don't want you to be afraid to ask for the sale. So what's next? Well, by following this process, you should be getting around 70 to 80% of people enrolling. At this point, you then move them into your onboarding process. We talk about that in the Studio Success Formula program, and that's about how to then retain the students so they don't drop out month 1 or month 2 into your studio. If they need to think about it and they don't enroll on the day, then we're going to jump into step number 8. And this is all about the follow-up. I talked about follow-up before, and follow-up is one of the most important things you can do when looking to enroll new students or more students into your studio, because I know that there's studios out there that are doing it. Lots of them are our members, and they are doing extremely well with this process. So step number 8 is the 24-hour call. So at the end of their time at your studio, you will let them know that your office staff will be in touch over the next 24 hours, the next day, to answer any of their questions. So I want you to give them a call between 24 to 48 hours, no more than 48 hours, please, and check in to see where they are at. At this point, you may want to offer an incentive like 50% off the enrollment fee or something similar. The idea is that you encourage them to put all their cards on the table so you can answer any objections and know where they stand. The important thing here is make sure your offer has an expiry date. So if you're going to do a 50% off the enrollment fee, say, look, you sound like little Susie had a great time. I'd love to enroll you in the classes and have Susie come back. What I can do for you today is offer you a 50% discount on our enrollment fee. So it's only $15, but this offer is only available for the next 24 hours. So should we get you started now? I can fill out the enrollment form with you over the phone. So you want to have a conversation like that. Now, a lot of you maybe are thinking, wow, that's scary. It sounds like a sales call. You've got to remember that they reached out to you for a reason. They reached out to you and they've come to your dance studio to try dance. They obviously want to come to dance. But more on that in a second. Let's move on to step number 9. If they then don't say yes to you, send an email after 4 days simply stating your offer to them again, letting them know that it's expiring and that you would love to see them join your dance studio family. So I say here 4 days. In the last step, I said, I'd offer a 24-hour offer. The offer is completely up to you. If you want to put a bit more heat on to make them, actually get to a decision, if you're time poor and you need a decision because recital's coming up or your concert's coming up and you need to make sure that if that person's coming in class that then, you can do the 24 hours. But if you've got a bit more time, you can do 4 days. And so that's where the 4 days later email comes in. And make this a really personal email and speak directly to them. You could also record a quick personal video to send them. This has been effective for so many of our program members when they'll record a quick video on we can do it on our phones now, or we can do it on our webcams on our laptops or desktops and say, hey, Mrs. Jones and Susie, we'll use Susie again because she's my favorite. It's Clint here, and I just wanted to say again how awesome it was to have you, Susie, in class. Miss Sarah said you were delightful, and you can talk about that experience as well and say, look, I rang you up the other day and I gave you an offer to take our 50% off our enrollment fee, and I haven't heard back from you, and that's completely okay, but I just really wanted to give you that last chance. If you want to be a part of our dance family, and we would love to have you in ballet and jazz, then please let me know so we can work it out as soon as possible. So something along those lines, and you've got to make it sound like it's right for your studio and in line with your values and how you operate as a studio. If you still have no luck, let's go to step number 10, which is the 7 days later phone call. Now, this is your last shot for now only. So call the parent or student and check in with them. Let them know that you appreciate that life is busy, but you just wanted to see if they'd made a decision about enrolling in your studio. If their answer is not now, never treat a not now as a no. Okay, because a not now is not now, but it doesn't mean that they won't ever join your studio. I want you to add them then. If they say no, just for then, I want you to add them to your trialed but not enrolled database so you can continue to keep in touch and stay top of mind. And then step number 11 is to keep in touch. So be sure that you send them an email within the next 30 days. It could be a newsletter, a birthday email, a class offer, or similar. But remember that them saying no doesn't mean it's no forever. So reach out to them in those next 30 days. Besides, keeping you top of mind means you might receive some referrals from them. Okay, so they are your 11 steps. Step number 1, take the inquiry and book the trial or class. Step number 2, email the trial class confirmation. Step number 3, the 24-hour see you soon SMS. Step number 4, the PreClass consult. Number 5, the introduction to the teacher and the class buddy, not the person that's pushing up the front. Step number 6 is the homework, which is our stick strategy. Step number 7 is the after-class follow-up. Step number 8 is the 24-hour call. Step number 9 is the 4 days later email. Step number 10 is the 7 days later phone call. And step number 11 is the keep in touch within the 30 days. Now, I reckon you're one or two people at the moment. I've just gone through these 11 strategies and I think you're thinking one of two things. The first thing is, no way, Clint, that is too pushy. That is too pushy. The second type, which I hope you are, is this is awesome. No wonder we haven't been enrolling as many students as we'd like. Now, if you're totally on board with number 2, then I'm pumped for you to start implementing this process today. And remember, you can download the whole checklist with the boxes and the whole explanations that I've gone through with you today, plus some more details by texting the word students to 44222 or heading to our website, studiosuccessformula.com, and hitting on the podcast link to get that checklist. But on the other hand, if you're in the number 1 camp, I want to ask you a question. Do you have the best training in your area? Do you have awesome, passionate, and experienced teachers? Do you care more than anything about creating an environment for students that not only makes them better dancers, but better human beings? Is that you? I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you're nodding your head and saying, yes, Clint, that's all me. They're all the things that I want, that I have in my studio. So if you said yes to all of these, then by not following an enrollment process, you're essentially not giving your potential new families all the information they need to make the right decision for them. Chances are, if you're not enrolling this student who has shown interest in dance, someone else in your area is. I'm sure you'd like to be that. I'm sure you want that to be you, right? Because look, let's face it, we know that you provide a great service, good customer service, great teachers, great training. So I want you to at least try implementing this process. It has worked for hundreds of our studio owners who are in our Studio Success Formula program. This is such a tiny little snippet, but such an important piece of the puzzle to building a bigger, better business that not only is obviously going to increase the bottom line, the profits in your business, but you're going to be able to serve more students from your local area, which is going to get you closer to being, what do we love, being the go-to studio in your area. So guys, I hope that was really helpful. And I hope it was a great episode for you to really kick off 2016 on the best foot possible, because I know if you implement this enrollment spreadsheet, you're going to see some really big changes in your studio. So again, if you want the checklist, download it, please. It's free. Use it. I created it for you. Text the word students to 44222 or head to our website, studiosuccessformula.com. Some other exciting news is that this podcast is going to be weekly. We have some amazing guests. You're going to hear from people who are doing things not in the dance space, but are going to teach you how to really become that CEO of your business, which is, is a passion of mine, getting studio owners, dance studio owners to become the entrepreneur, become the CEO of their studio. And guys, I want that to be your focus for 2016. Let's level up this year. Let's go to the next level. And I know that all of you can do it. You just need to hustle a little bit more, hard work, but smart work as well. And learn, have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset that says, that won't work for me. I've tried that. That doesn't work. Have a growth mindset. Be a child again. Walk into every room. Listen to every podcast. Watch every online workshop that we do as a child and say, what can I learn that's going to help me to take my studio to the next level? And this is just the very beginning. We've got a lot of cool stuff to bring you this year. Like I said, the podcast is going to be every single week. We have guests. You're going to hear from other studio owners around the world who are going to share their experiences and what worked for them and the mistakes that they've made as well, which is going to be great. So again, please download the checklist, start using it, and jump onto Facebook or send me through an email and let me know how you're finding it. Our email address is transform@studiosuccessformula.com. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Welcome to 2016, and I can't wait to take this journey to building your dream dance studio this year. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Are you enjoying the Studio Success Formula podcast? Then we'd love for you to share the love. We want to help more dance studio owners become go-to studios, so we'd greatly appreciate you writing us a review on iTunes. For taking the time out to do so, every month, Clint will be selecting one lucky dance studio owner to receive a Power Business Coaching session. Simply visit the iTunes store today, search for Studio Success Formula, click on ratings and reviews, and then write your review. Thanks in advance. Take care, and we'll see you next time.